Back on CBS Sports HQ as we get you set for Super Bowl 60. One of these two gentlemen will be a Super Bowl champion after 60 minutes of football in Santa Clara. Good news, Seattle. You get to play in the Super Bowl. Bad news, you got to watch that play for 2 weeks. A rematch of Super Bowl 49, two vastly different teams, quite obviously, as we are now on Super Bowl 60, Patriots Seahawks, Mac. We're going to come at this from every single angle over the next 2 weeks. What's your first and favorite when you just look at it surface level?
Well, first and foremost, let's look at the parity with the NFL. Both of these teams were not good enough to make the playoffs last year, right? And this year, they dominated from start to finish, and now they have the luxury of playing in Super Bowl 60. So that's something that we need to highlight as well when you look at the changeover in terms of the new coaching staff with the Patriots and seeing year two with Mike McDonald and his staff being able to get it right. But of course, it starts and it stops with the quarterback matchup, right? And we know both guys, they won't play against each other. But the job that both quarterbacks have done has been amazing. Year two for Drake May, you know, you talk about some struggles we saw his rookie season. And then Drake May, new coaching staff, new OC, getting it all together and played at a high level the entire season. Then when you look at Sam Darnold, what we saw in Sam Darnold this season is something that we've never seen from Sam Darnold in his professional career, high-level play. And because of his improvement and the consistency, he has the Seattle Seahawks, along with that great defense, getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. So it starts and it stops with me. But there's so many comparisons we can tie to both teams. High-level defensive plays, great secondary play, two teams that can rush the passer at any given time, and then you look at some of the pass catchers that we have praised and raved about from either side. But it starts and it stops with me at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I believe this is going to be a chess match. But like you just talked about, both defenses can get after the quarterback. Both defenses can take the ball away. Both quarterbacks playing at a high level. So it's going to come down to what defense can get that critical stop? What defense is going to have that bend, don't break mentality more than the other one? Because that's what it's going to come down to. Both of these teams have been battle-tested throughout the year, game-winning drives, putting teams away early. But this is the last game of the year, good on good for a reason. And I believe it's going to come down to which defense is going to make the play.
And, you know, it's easy to look at the Seattle Seahawks defense and say, oh, Drake May, year two, inexperienced at this level. It's going to be tough for him to go up against it. And there's no doubt that that is true. However, 2 weeks ago, he goes up against the Houston Texans defense. Just on Sunday, he goes up against the Denver Broncos defense. And at practice, at training camp all year, he's been going up against the New England Patriots defense. He has seen in the last 2 weeks, and we'll see over these next 2 weeks, the three of the top defenses in the entire NFL. So he's been there. Now he has to take care of the football. There's no doubt about it. He can't have a game like he had against the Houston Texans. There's no doubt about that. But if you're going to say, boy, this is a tough Seattle Seahawks defense, that is true. And I would just retort, he's seen tough defenses very, very recently.
You know what? To piggyback on that, which is a great point to highlight, for Drake May, the defenses that he's seen clearly should have him ready for the challenge that he will see.
Yeah.
But the difference in this matchup is that when he played against the Chargers, high-level defense, offensively, there was some issues with the Chargers when you talk about the protection for Justin Herbert, the injuries. And then you look at the Houston Texans game, another great defense that he played against.
First half
but
interception.
Offensively, C.J. Stroud came into that ball game struggling, and he struggled once again. And then most recently on the road against Denver, another great defense, but he played against Jarrett Stidham. So even though we saw some struggles from Drake May and we saw some protection issues for his offensive line unit, it didn't hurt them as much because the offenses they were playing against had some issues as well. This team, their offense, there's no issue. They're healthy and they're playing really, really good football in the more critical moments. So now for Drake May, if you don't get it right offensively, you playing against an offense that can score.
Yeah.
That can put pressure on your defense, and the same was not said for the previous 3 postseason matchups that they faced when you look at the offenses they played in terms of injuries or just bad play.
I don't have the forecast in front of me 2 weeks out, but I can confidently say we're not going to get driving snow in Santa Clara on Super Bowl Sunday either. All things being equal, Drake May will need his best, just as Sam Darnold will. What will this moment mean for Sam Darnold? We're approaching, as you put it, the end to a big chapter in the book of Sam Darnold. And there's so many chapters that were hard to flip through. You want the crib notes for the first 4 or 5 years of this career, but then you go to quarterback school in Santa Clara with those 49ers. Then you spend some time around KOC and you win 14 games in Minnesota. Now you are on the precipice of redefining the way we say the name Sam Darnold.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And what he can do is completely alter the narrative that has been around him for so long. Look, he was a top 3 pick for a very good reason. He has always, year in, year out, showed traits. It was always about him putting it all together consistently. And yes, he was around some very bad teams with the New York Jets, no doubt. And he had some really, tough goes at it, even the other places he went, including Carolina, right? But this has him, it gives him the opportunity. He signed a 3-year, $100 million contract. If he goes out there and wins the Super Bowl, if they win because of Sam Darnold, you can go ahead and rip up that contract, give him a new contract extension. So financially, that's one thing. Number 2, for his story and his narrative, that's another thing. And then number 3, from a team building perspective, how we perceive how quarterbacks, how you got to draft one. Oh, well, you better tank so that you can get a quarterback, because if you don't have a quarterback, then there's no way that you win. Well, Seattle Seahawks didn't draft Sam Darnold. Seattle Seahawks paid him a 3-year, $100 million contract. So did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield. You can do it this way. You can get to a Super Bowl this way. You can have a defensive head coach and be just fine and win your conference. So I think that this can really shape and shift how we discuss quarterbacking in the NFL, and certainly Sam Darnold's entire career in the league.
And it's about coaching. That's the thing. I think oftentimes, not just in the NFL, but just in football in general, good coaches run to coach, bad coaches run away from coaching. Because this is the same player that the Jets felt like wasn't good enough. This is the same player where Jets fans were like, no, we don't want him a part of our organization once again. And you said something that was very, very important, Joe. He went to quarterback rehab. He went to San Fran. You know who's out in San Fran? Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan. And I can tell you this much. If your last name is Shanahan, you can coach some offensive football. If your last name is Kubiak, you can coach some offensive football. He goes there and got an opportunity to see what real offensive coaching and structure looks like. Parlay that into an opportunity, short-lived in Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the destination after San Francisco. And then he went to KOC in Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell came from where? Sean McVay, right? And we saw how Kevin O'Connell unleashed something in Sam Darnold that we didn't thought was existing in him. And then he leaves and he goes to Seattle. Who was in Seattle? Clint Kubiak. So it's about coaching. It's about coaching, because a lot of these guys, man, when we watch the game, we don't see what's going on the week of, the preparation and things that they're being told a coach to do. We just see the Sunday product or Monday product or Thursday product. But clearly something was missing with all the coaching that he received before he got to San Francisco that led to Minnesota, and now current time, they're in Seattle. So it's about coaching.
Yeah.
He had talent. He had potential. It's just the coaching wasn't resonating to him. And one thing a great coach told me once upon a time, he said, great coaches adjust to the players. Yeah. Because if all 4 of us play the same position, a coach cannot coach you, me, Pat, all the same, because we're different players. You have to adjust to the player. Oftentimes, coaches make players adjust to their coaching style. It doesn't work that way. You would never get the most out of that said player.
They've struck the proper chord here with Sam Darnold, and I want to take that whole thing you're saying there one step further, because you alluded to this being a chess match. And in this instance, it's not speed chess. We're not getting back in the building and having to figure it out on 3 days and then getting on the plane. You got 2 weeks to find that pressure point and to push on it. Identify those pressure points for each of these teams. What's the weakness for Seattle, and what's the weakness for New England?
I believe the weakness for Seattle, man, they don't have many of them. But far as on the offensive side of the ball, probably running the ball efficiently. I believe running the football for them is probably their Achilles heel. It gives them not the opportunity to really show off Sam Darnold's best attributes, the play action, naked boots and things like that.
It goes away for stretches. It's there,
exactly.
And then it goes away.
Exactly. For the New England Patriots, their weakness is probably their offensive line. You know, their left side of their offensive line. We've seen teams being able to get consistent pressure on off that left side and on Drake May. We saw what Houston was able to do. We saw what Denver was able to do. So that left side of that New England offensive line is probably the weakest unit on that football.
Yeah, I mean, they allowed, 5 sacks today, right?
Yeah.
Another 5-sack day. Heck, the Texans, I think, had 5 sacks.
Yeah,
I think the
6,
Chargers,
I believe.
the Chargers might have had 5 sacks.
The 5-5-5 deal.
They on par. They've been on par with that number. So to Pat's point, yeah, the offensive line is a concern, and this is one of the higher pressure-rated defenses in Seattle.
With 4.
With 4.
Out of sub-packages.
Yeah. So when they start bringing extra, it can get really dicey for the Patriots. And like I said, the sacks didn't haunt Drake May because of the offensive issues that they've seen on the opposing from the opposing team. Now, if you allow 5 sacks against Seattle, they can make you pay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When we look at Seattle, it's difficult. As we just said here, it's obvious for New England what you're going to try and twist. For Seattle, is there something we're not seeing? Is there something that can be illuminated? I mean, we got large sample sizes at this point of the season trying to figure out how to beat this team.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's obviously the run game. Charbonnet's out, right, with the torn ACL. So there's going to be that. You really like this defense. And so whatever the weak spot is, the defense is so great that it's covering up whatever blemish there may be somewhere else. If you're the New England Patriots, you just try to get Sam Darnold to go back to old Sam Darnold. And that is so much, it is so much easier said than done, right? And that's all you're going to hear about these next 2 weeks is how Sam Darnold's turned the page. But then you're also, if you're watching over these next 2 weeks, you're going to feel sort of a hint where folks who are talking about this are talking around it. They're talking around Sam Darnold. Yeah, no, I mean, he's been playing well, but this is the Super Bowl. And then here comes the pressure and seeing ghosts, even though it doesn't matter that he was seeing ghosts against Bill Belichick's Patriots when almost no dude who was on that team then is on this Patriots team now. None of that stuff's going to matter. I will say this, though. Experience is going to be a factor in this Super Bowl. And I know that Sam Darnold hasn't been in a Super Bowl. Drake May, obviously about to be potentially the youngest quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. Mike Vrabel's been there a lot. As a player, Josh McDaniels has coached has coached in like a 1/6 of all the Super Bowls. Okay, so you're looking at how is this coaching staff, because obviously these are 2 great teams. So what's going to be the difference? And obviously experience. B-Mac, you know this better than anybody else here. Experience in the Super Bowl matters, and it can be a huge benefit to a team. And the New England Patriots certainly have more of that than the Seattle Seahawks.
So you're saying in 2 weeks' time we can expect a defensive end linebacker type to be catching the ball in the end zone, dust off the old Vrabes play. It's going to be a blast breaking it down here on CBS Sports HQ for 2 weeks' time. And then Super Bowl 60, we will see you in Santa Clara. Before we get there, we got to go here. 4.5-point favorite at open and at last check, those Seattle Seahawks. I need a Super Bowl winner, and I need an MVP.
Well, my initial prediction, once the playoffs were set, I had Seattle and New England meeting in the Super Bowl.
We're there.
San Francisco. So I'm there.
Why
So
change anything?
I was being heckled from start. I was heckled leading up to this weekend, but heckle me now. I was right.
No longer welcome in
And
Duval.
with that being said, I got to keep my initial pick with New England winning the Super Bowl, regardless of how amazed I've been watching Seattle.
How much I want to change my pick.
I really love watching Seattle play football.
He's trying to play both sides here.
But I'm gonna keep.
Listen, guys, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it.
I'm gonna stick with it. I'm taking New England to win the Super Bowl. My MVP will be Drake May.
Okay.
I don't know who the youngest MVP is, Super Bowl MVP is. We got to do our research. I don't know off the top of my head, but he potentially could be the youngest because he's the second youngest quarterback behind Dan Marino. So I have Drake May winning the Super Bowl, and shouts out to Mark Wahlberg. He really
That's
did.
why.
Yeah, he appreciated it when I did it weeks ago.
Pat?
Oh, man, I'm going to go with the Patriots as well. This is going to be a hard-fought game, but you just talked about the experience. I'm sorry, JJ just talked about their experience, and New England has the most experience on their coaching staff as far as getting their team prepared, how to handle the week, the off week, going into media day, things like that.
Yeah.
So I believe this team will handle the moment better. And they played, in my opinion, probably the best situational football out of every team that was in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the New England Patriots to win it. And also my MVP, I'm going to have to go with the young boy, young Drake.
Yeah, you know, as a proper capital J journalist, it's impossible for me to pick this game because I'm going to be covering this game. So, Joe Musso, because I'm covering this game and because I'm a New England resident, I will have you please go ahead and.
I will cede my time back to Brian. No, I'm kidding. On behalf of Jonathan Jones, I see too big of a problem on the left side for the New England Patriots. I think it's going to be a quarterback under siege, one that protected the ball here in snowy conditions in the AFC title game, but one that has fumbled it 6 times in these playoffs. Defense only fell on 2. You're not going to have those types of opportunities against the Seattle Seahawks defense, a ball-hungry team that's going to get after the quarterback. I think Seattle's your Super Bowl champion at Super Bowl 60 on behalf of the great journo, Jonathan Jones. Fellas, we appreciate the insight as always. We're just getting started with our talk. 2 weeks till kick. Come on, I hate the 2 week. I understand it.
Oh, man, so long.
Give me some football, man. New England and Seattle, we go once again as we look back at 49. Just hand it off, man.